Welcome to the second episode of Accessibility Now, stories about accessibility in the state of Georgia. Accessibility Now is a podcast produced by the statewide Independent Living Council of Georgia, and I'm your host, Matt Shedd. On this show, we discuss the real, tangible resources that are available for those living with disabilities. And today we'll be talking about a Center for Independent Living known as the Disability Resource Center, located in Demorest, Georgia, a town north of Athens. The DRC has been serving 13 counties in northeast Georgia for over 20 years. I talked with DRC Executive Director Nancy Peeples and Program Director Leah Norton about the work that they do for people with disabilities in this area.
Where we are, we're very rural. So, the struggles that we have, and then not only the struggles, but the wins that we have are very different. People, when they reach out to us, it's been that they've, somehow they've heard about us. And at first they really don't know how we can help. We have a staff that truly cultivates those relationships. And then once that relationship and that trust, that is so huge that our consumers, they have to trust us prior to us really getting in there and saying, what are your needs? Because we've talked about it. It's not pretty stuff. It's nothing that's, that is luxurious or anything. I mean, it's boots on the ground types of things. And so when we have individuals come in, we really build that relationship, and it's beyond just providing a wheelchair. It's beyond just some type of, one type of service. We find out that there's, it's an extreme poverty situation, or it's a parent or a grandparent trying to care for a child. There's food insecurities, there's housing insecurities. And then, of course, there's transportation is always a true issue. And most of the time coming in the door, that initial, INR, or that initial 5 or 10 minutes, we don't find that out. It's several conversations when we really get into, how can we help you? What can we do?
It can be hard for a government organization to build the trust necessary to help the people in these areas. People living with disabilities have often been marginalized for years because of their disabilities or other factors. Individuals' negative past experiences can also put up significant roadblocks for them receiving the help that they need. At the DRC, like Nancy said, they build trust one step at a time, one consumer at a time. Take Tugalo Odister, for instance, a DRC consumer out of Stevens County.
I'm legally blind. I've lived by myself for quite some time. I almost ended up homeless last year, and someone had recommended them to me. And a few years back, I had a little sad song when I tried to call them, but this time around, it's not what someone had said it was. It was completely different. They've been hands-on, boots on the ground, every second, every moment, helping me. It's not a gimmick. It's for real. 100% trustworthy and truthful about everything that they say and what they do. I've needed some groceries in the house. They have actually stuck their necks out there to make sure within an hour that I've been able to get what I need, although I'm not able to drive or have anyone to help me on that level.
Though something like grocery delivery isn't part of the DRC's core services, the staff is committed to helping their consumers however they can. We
had a call from the senior center yesterday of one of our consumers. How old is she, Leah? 82. She still works every day. She has a physical disability, and she was actually using a serving cart from the kitchen to be able to help her walk, to help her. And so we were able to provide her with a rollator. That's just in the last, 24 hours. But Leah and I say this all the time. When you see a need, when you see that extreme poverty, or you see that pain, or you see that hunger, you can't unsee it.
If you know what to do and don't do it, you don't sleep at night.
Absolutely. And it is true. And that's the mentality of this staff. We don't turn folks away. We really don't. We are, it's either a referral or it's something that we can do, or we will send them on the path to try to know in our communities somebody, if we can't help, somebody that can help, because we know by the time that they've made a call to a disability resource center, there's a need. There's a need.
If it wasn't for them, I don't know what I'd done. I've been sick and disabled, and it's a whole lot of red tape you got to get through, and I needed a ramp, and they had somebody come to fix it, because the one I had, I couldn't walk. They helped me with a wheelchair, and when the appliances break down, they replace them, and I couldn't get in my tub, and so they helped me with the shower, walk-in shower, where I could roll my wheelchair and get in. And then when I got sick with the COVID, I didn't have anybody to bring me anything, and they had on all their stuff, and they come in, they bought me groceries. So, they're like my family. They did more for me than my family did.
That was Ruby Wells, another DRC consumer. Recently, the COVID-19 pandemic and budget cuts have made the DRC's work much more challenging.
Then, of course, COVID has created its own monster, and we have had to really adapt. We've had to really become critical thinkers in using every resource that we have to be able to meet need. There's not a one size fits all. When I go to work today, this is what I'm going to see. There's no, and every day there's never 2 days that are alike, and there's never two individuals that their needs are the same. And so we have to be able to, one day it's you're dealing with inspectors trying to get a ramp to code, and then one day you're trying to get an individual that has been living in a car that has been abused, and you're trying to find them somewhere safe. And so it is. And I think that's my message, is when I'm out and about, is that we are so far beyond just those core services that we're charged with.
Communication and education are at the heart of many problems that the DRC has had to overcome. Here's Leah Norton with more on that.
Systemic communication, communicating with the big systems like DFAC, Social Security, through COVID. I mean, it was already tough, but through COVID, when the offices have all been shut down and nobody, and the helpers can't even get the other, but you figure out ways around it and ways to connect people. But a senior or a disabled person with significant disabilities maneuvering through these systems during COVID. I mean, we've saved a lot of folks from losing their benefits. I've done a lot of food stamp and Medicaid and Social Security applications during this time, because of people just can't navigate on their own through the craziness of the systems. So,
like all centers for independent living, a big part of the work that DRC does is ensuring that people with disabilities can live good lives independently, outside of nursing homes. Here's Leah again.
I do the nursing home transitions, which is almost like working with the homeless population in some cases. Some of my folks in the nursing home that have been there long term, I go at those cases very much like how I do the homeless cases that I work with. We start a lot of times at ground zero, no documentation, no place to go, very detached from society. I mean, they're almost institutionalized when they've been there any length of time, we start a lot of times with just getting those basic documents together so that we can start looking for housing resources and support resources in the community. But if you don't have a birth certificate and an ID and a social security card, we can't do anything. So that's where we start.
It may be easy to feel like disability services are for someone else, that whether their funding is maintained ultimately has no bearing on your daily life. But as the DRC knows, just about everyone will have to live with a disability at some point in their life, either their own or a family member's.
I mean, one fall and you're in a demographic that you're in the disability community. You have an aging parent. You have a child that's born with a disability, and all of a sudden you're in an arena that you have absolutely no idea. And unfortunately, sometimes our society that we live in is a mentality of untouchable. But it's truly, I mean, like you said, fortunate, I hope to live to be 90 years old. And so, I mean, it's coming for each of us. I think anybody, whether it's my center, Kirk Center, Tiffany Center, we all take this home with us. And so it is, but, and so that's my major struggle is, realizing that as much as you want to help someone, if the folks that make the decisions about the funding do not realize what this need is, then a situation that absolutely needs help will have to be a no because we don't have funding. And that is what's a bigger word than unfortunate? That is criminal. I mean, it really is catastrophic. Excellent word, Leah. It's catastrophic. And because, as we've shared before, we're not dealing in fancy and luxurious. We're dealing in, real true need. I'm hungry. I'm cold. I'm on the street. I can't take care of my child. My child that's in, a wheelchair. I can't pick them up anymore to place them in that chair, or I don't have a ramp to get them out of the home. So that is what is a true struggle for me, is that ultimately I have to make those decisions every day of, yes, we can serve that individual, but I still have to run the business.
Those tough decisions are made a little easier with the help of volunteers and other organizations in the area, lessening the burden on the DRC.
We have identified our champions. The champions in Union County, or the champions in Hart County, or in Rabun County. And we have really learned that, the five of us may be able to do this amount, but if we partner with the champions in each of the counties, wow, what can we truly accomplish? And, and that changes too. Sometimes it's Rotary in this county. Sometimes it's a church in this county. Sometimes it's just an organization that somebody has just a heart to be able to do this work. And so that truly is an asset to us, that we being able and their willingness to be able to serve. I still believe in the good in people. I really do. And I think that a lot of times people want to help, they just don't know how. And so we try to be the ask. We try to be the ones that say, okay, this is what we need, and this is specifically what you can do to help. Yeah. And 8 times out of 10, we'll get it. Now, we'll throw away those 2 other times, but it's just doing that ask and saying, okay, this is our need. Can you help us? And we're very fortunate. We're very fortunate with that.
A major challenge for all CILs is reaching people who need help, telling them about what's available, and encouraging them to take advantage of what's offered. That's one of the main goals of this podcast. So if you're part of the group that we're trying to reach, here's DRC consumers Tugalo and Ruby with some words of encouragement.
And I will say this to the people: please do not be afraid to call, and please do not be afraid to lean against them. They are there to help you, and they will 100% help you. any loved one that does not know how to get their family members from a facility of a hospital into their home because the state has taken over, lean against the disability resource, and they will do everything in their power. They will, contact the court system in order to get your loved ones out of that facility and back into your home.
Don't give up. That's the only thing I can say. Don't give up, because everything takes time. And you just got to learn to be patient, because there's a lot of resources out there, but finding the right channel, that's a challenge. I'm going to say, just keep looking, because I turned over 1 million rocks before I come to them. They are a godsend. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I'm just not saying that just because you got me recorded. But, they are a godsend.
And if you're in the DRC service area and you'd like to help, Nancy has some parting words for you too.
And so what I charge individuals to do is if they hear about Disability Resource Center, if they hear about the work that we do, to go out and to tell 3 people. Just tell 3 people, whether it be at your kid's ball game, whether it be at work, and then challenge those people to tell 3 people. And then it's amazing how that chain can get that word out, because, in all this technology and all of this, I still am old school, and I believe word of mouth is the greatest way to let people know. And then there's always that hands and feet, actual volunteers that, we can have folks that can come in that can be a listener, be an advocate, help build ramps. There's so many different ways that when someone has that service that they want to, the actual hands and feet of what we do, then our boots on the ground, then absolutely. There's so many different ways that, individuals can help what we do. And then there's always financially. We love when individuals, and we have individuals in the communities that will, donate to Disability Resource Center to help further our services and to help, continue on with what we do. I think that if we could really challenge people that hear anything about us to share what we do, and then to have a little bit of an understanding of what we do, and just go out among the masses and let it works twofold. It works in getting the information to the folks that need us, giving them how to get, to help, but it also gets the information to the people that might want to volunteer, that, want us as well.
And that's where we're going to wrap up today's episode. You've just heard all about the services that the Disability Resource Center offers the counties of northeastern Georgia. Again, if you are in the service area and you want to reach out about accessing their resources or volunteering, you can give them a call at 706-778-5355. You can find more information on their website at disabilityresourcecenter.org. The music for this podcast is provided by bensound.com. I'm Matt Shedd. This episode was co-written and co-produced by Desi Gillespie. Accessibility Now is a podcast produced by the statewide Independent Living Council of Georgia. If you want to find out more about our organization, you can visit us at silcga.org. That's silcga.org. Thanks so much for joining us, and I just want to close out by reminding you that a Georgia that includes everyone is better for all of us. We'll see you next time.